Welcome back to the channel. I'm Peter Mokri, a Dallas-based DP and gaffer, and in today's video, we're doing something a little bit different. I was recently invited out to a local community college. The professor was a fan of the channel, watched the channel. He really loved the content that I put out. He sent me an email and said, "Hey Peter, would you be willing to come out and give us some of your insights, some of your knowledge, and maybe even give us a demo of your choice to the students here at the local community college?" And I said, you know what? I love giving back to the community, and I love inspiring people to become better and do better things. And I always hated sitting around in a classroom when I was in high school. So I was like, you know what? Let's do some hands-on. So Mark Kaufman was the professor. He reached out to me. I brought out the grip van and I said, you know what? We're going hands-on. So I brought out a friend of mine, Vicente, and he helped capture some of the content for that whole demonstration that I did for the students. I chopped it up, made it a little bit cleaner, but here are some of the highlights. We will have chapters down below so you could find the chapters you need. This video is a bit long. It's just over an hour long, but I want it to be available for people that are just starting out, that want to have a little more insight and a little more hands-on raw feel. This wasn't scripted. There was nothing that I knew that I was really going to do. I just went with the flow. And so what we landed on in this video was going over setting up stands, some G&E kind of standards that we go off of, setting up a stand, how to do it correctly, a C stand. We did some floppies and things like that. And then we got to the nitty-gritty of lighting a subject, let's say for an interview or just anything in general. And we landed on three main modifiers. We did an Aputure Light Dome Mini, the Aputure Light Dome 3, and the Aputure 150 dome. And those are three different size domes. And we wanted to see what would happen if we brought the light in and then if we pulled the light back, and the differences a smaller source makes versus a bigger source. So we were able to do that. I was rolling this FX6 camera the whole time so we could actually capture what the camera is seeing. So then everything came together and we actually have references to the lighting. Like I said, chapters are down below. I really appreciate everyone's support. So before we get into it, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and any comments or questions you have, drop them down below. I really appreciate your support, and I really appreciate everyone that keeps coming back for awesome content. This summer is going to be jam-packed with videos. I'm going to be pumping them out because I have a little more free time from shooting, and that means I'm putting it all in for YouTube and all of you guys. Let's get into it. Always stay with a good attitude and, be helpful and, willing to help other people. So we have camera up. So do y'all know any ways to block this sun that's over here? Any ideas? Okay, we got a whole van. I've actually used my van to bounce. I was in West Texas doing like oil rig stuff, and I actually pulled my van in to get a little fill light because it's a big white source, so it ended up being perfect. So that's an option, but let's think a little bit bigger, because if we land them just in that little pocket with that floppy, if they slightly move or if the sun slightly goes another way, we just won't have control. So what's another option? So almost a bigger floppy. It's not called a floppy, but yes, that's a good suggestion. So that's where those rags come into play. So some are diffusion and some are solids to take away light. So some bounce light, they diffuse light, or they take away light as a negative. So we'll just put it's called a solid. So we'll just put a solid up real quick. Now, normally you'd build out a frame and everything. It's not really windy now. I don't really want to spend all day doing this. So I'm gonna run in here. I'm gonna go with a bigger stand than normally I would. So I'm gonna grab this guy here. And then I'm gonna take it over here. And then if someone could go in the van and grab me an 8x8 solid. Just don't step on that little flange there. You just gotta go next to it. That metal flange, yep, just avoid that. Now I need an 8x8 solid. 8x8 solid. You know what? Let's go with the 8x8 bounce. 8x8 B&W. 8x8 B&W. No, it's gonna be a rag. But you know what? Bring me that floppy. We'll use that floppy. B&W bounce, yep. So we have this floppy here. We'll Use it for a courtesy. All right. Gobo head or knuckle, whatever you want to call it. It's what comes on a C-stand oftentimes. So we set that up. Y'all can move in closer if you want to see what's happening. This is called an ear. Normally we'd make a frame, and the frame would have corners and have these things attached to it, but we're going to shortcut the system. So this is called a T-bone, T-bar, however you want to call it. The reason I got him to do the black and white, which is ultra bounce, which is black on one side, white on the other side. White bounces, black blocks. So we could actually use both options here, and I'll show you what it can do to someone. So now we need some kind of pole here. So this thing is built out in a way where I have frames, and these are split frames, so they're 4 feet tall each. Put them together, you have 8 feet. So I'm going to set it down. All right, so everyone watch their eyeballs. First thing you do when you do something like this, you got to make sure you're safe around other people. Someone doesn't walk in, because as soon as you set this up, the first thing someone's going to do is walk around the corner and lose their eyeball. So what you want to do is, if you're not setting it up right away, you could do this to make it safe. Or if you do set it up, immediately get tennis balls on the end. They're bright, and they'll help people not lose their eyes, and they'll make dogs go crazy on set.
Okay, you have a bunch of them.
Yep, so I get them used on Marketplace, because people, when they, yeah. Yes, sir?
If they're like, for example, walking with like a tripod, I always say points.
Yep,
So
points. You could say free dental. If you're somewhere that people don't understand, just say, coming through, watch out, because they may not be prepared for, they may not know what points is. Free dental means I'm going to knock your teeth out. That's what free dental means. So I'm going to grab a couple clamps. This is me cheating to make it easier, to make things quicker. So people tie off the flag or the rags. I cheat, and I just put a couple clamps up and do it a little bit faster. Now, biggest thing when it comes to any of this stuff that you need to remember, there are no rules. That's straight up the thing. There are standards, but there are no rules. You can do whatever you want when it comes to doing film. You can make it look however you want. It's all up to you. You want to grab that corner over there. Go down below there. Yep. All right, and then we're going to hook in both bungees like that. Just the bungee parts. Nope, just flip it like this. And then just hook those bungees. Just hang them on. Just hang them on for now. Yep. And we'll hook them in a second. So this is what you kind of do, is you'll hook these two up if you need to move stuff around. Sometimes I flop them over. So I'm going to move into the middle and clip on. I use these plastic clamps because I don't want to tear holes in my rags. Now there's other people that use metal ones only, and then they have holes in their stuff and it creates problems. So now we have this guy here, and I could hook that back on. Yep, see how you get it, and we may have to adjust it because I'm not all the way over here. Just mirror exactly what I did. Now be careful, see how you drop this? You have to be really careful. If you dropped it on the white side, it's gonna get dirty. And it creates, so tighten it up. So let's just bring it here, and now clip that in all the way to the edge. Done, okay, perfect. Oh, you got it, don't worry. I deal with people that haven't done any of this stuff plenty of times, so don't stress, don't feel bad. As long as you're willing to learn, it should be fine. If someone gets grumpy over it, they don't need to have people on set, you know, because they're so professional, they do so perfectly. They're just angry at the world. Don't let that happen. If you're willing to learn, it's really great. So I'm going to lift up on the stand now. And what's one of the things that this looks like? Looks like a sail, right? A big sail. And what happens to sails? They catch the wind. So if I could get 2 shop bags out of the van, that's the red handle ones. Whoever wants to go grab 2 of them. They're heavy. Don't hurt yourself. So right now, there's not really light hitting it. So look at these gentlemen here. As soon as I turn it, look how bright they got. Look at their faces, dark. And now they're bright because we're bouncing light, and it's soft because this is white and soft. Awesome. Let's grab these. We'll stick them on the stand. There's two methods you could do. You could do that, and some people do this, and we'll do both. All right. So you just saw the demonstration. So normally outside you wouldn't do it like this. You'd build the frame out because the wind could catch this. So that's something to consider. But like we noticed, when it's dark and turned where the light's not hitting it, it's not bouncing. But when the light hits it, it bounces, it creates soft light. So the sun is hitting there, it's getting diffused by this, and it's looking really nice and soft. And you can see, so if I put my hand here, it's darker. If I put my hand here, it gets brighter. And it's hard to see looking straight at the sun. But this has an advantage of doing two jobs, and we can turn it around, and now we don't have that bright light. So you could do a regular solid, or you could do one. If I could get 2 more shot bags, please, and we'll make it where this doesn't flap too much in the wind and make noise. And we'll do a little cheat that people will probably say, you shouldn't do that, but you know what? It's okay. So you can put it on each end where those bungees are. Yep, one on each end. Yep, and what I'll do is we'll clamp them. So we'll just grab this, hook it in, and then just grab that. There we go. And that should prevent it from going anywhere. Cool. Awesome. So that holds it, and we could cinch it up a little. There it goes, a little bit tighter. Now, if it was really windy out, I wouldn't recommend this. We'd build out the whole frame, but we don't really have time for that because we're trying to make magic happen in a certain period of time. So that is setting up. We call it this, they'll call it a waterfall, they'll call it a T-bone. You're just doing it quickly. It's a lot faster than building out a whole frame. And when you build out a whole frame, it's like a trampoline. You have the frame, and then you gotta tie it all around and make it nice and tight. And that could work at sometimes. But now we have it blacked out here, so now we have a little more control here. So now you're not looking into the blinding sunlight, even though it's probably already hiding behind some clouds. So we have that. What kind of stand is this? Is this a combo or a baby stand? Yep, it's a baby one because the combo has that bigger head up top, but it's still a stronger stand, and it has a bigger spread than a C-stand. C-stand, a lot of times people use C-stands for lights. Technically, they're not designed for lights. They are designed for G&E stuff, for flags and cutters and getting stuff into place. These have bigger legs for lights, which are heavier up top. So we're gonna get a monitor up real quick. Let's go ahead and get, let's see. Let's get one of these dolly stands right here. And then there's a set of casters in here. There's big ones. They're called big effing wheels. Give me a set of those big effing wheels. So take the bungee off. Take it off one side and just let it hang. Yep, that one right there. And then we're gonna stick a very derogatory thing into the stand. They call this thing something that you're not supposed to say, or maybe it is. Okay, this is known as a butt plug. So it may have not been PC back in the day, maybe more PC today, who knows. What it does is it converts that baby, we have a baby, or a junior into a baby. So we go here and it just pops in. So now, because this isn't a combo, it's just a junior. Yep, I need 3 of those. So we can pop up the director's monitor. Cool, and then we'll bring this up. Cool, and then so this, the way this one's designed, it goes all the way out, so it has a big spread on it. So let's put those wheels on, figure out how to do that, guys. So you gotta, yep. Make sure it's all the way in. Did you make sure it clicked? Yep, perfect, you got it.
Can you make sure this one's all the way in?
So let's pull this back out. Yep, and then just.
Is there such a thing as putting these on too tight?
Nope, you probably can't. Most people can't. Like Yeah, you'll be fine. That's good. Should be it. It stops about right here because of the angle, so it seems like it could go further. Okay, so this is what we're doing. These are wheels for all-terrain wheels, so we can move them around. They're actually locked off right now, so it shouldn't go anywhere. If I could get a shot bag for this. We're gonna stick a director's monitor on this, and then go ahead and tighten that knob down. Great, looks good. I'll temporarily hook up V-mount batteries to it. Yeah, so you could rotate that around. Yep, lock that in. V-mounts. This is director's monitor that we're going to use. What does it do? It just helps us get a bigger image because we're about to start dealing with some light. And if y'all get bored, just tell me and I'll leave at any time. At any time. Okay, so we're gonna have a director's monitor. Big thing to think about that you may not know of. If you get cameras, it's something you will learn. There's a thing called SDI protocol. The SDI ports, since they switched from like 6G to 12G, they're prone to cause issues because of the power that they go through. So if you had a Red camera or an ARRI, a Sony Venice, if you just plug up the SDI cables to it, you'll fry the port. And it'll cost you thousands and thousands of dollars. So what it is, you treat your SDI cable like a actor or actress. What does that mean? They're the last ones to show up and they're the first ones to leave. So that means have power to both things. If you have power to both things, you plug it in. Before you power them down, you unplug it. So we have power to this, and then we have power to the camera. So we're gonna just get this out of the way. I like to keep a tidy set. I try not to make a mess. Some people just explode and make it look like they're bachelors or whatever. I don't like making a mess. So we could have ran wireless, but I don't want to mess with it in case it goofed up on us. So let's bring this, we're gonna bring this guy over. So I'm gonna knock it loose here. It's gonna be difficult because they're strong. So, got it? Perfect. Got yours? It's there you go. So like if we were in the grass, this would be easy to move. This is kind of, in a way, overkill, but it'd give us the ability to move. So what we're going to do is we're going to stick it right here.
And lock.
And then hit lock. Perfect. Awesome. So next thing we're going to do is we'll hook up the SDI cable. All right. Luckily, we're not getting toasted too much by the light. I didn't want to bring a giant light out. So, which I have big lights, but a lot of this stuff that I'm going to show you today is 100% manageable and able to be obtained by you guys. Let me tell you a little secret. Real quick question. Do any of you guys have a grip van by chance? No? Actually, all of you do. Because all you do is you call me and you rent it out. You have access to everything. So if the budget is there, they rent. When they do movies, they rent. They rent the ARRIs, they rent the lenses, they rent the gear. So yes, you do. So your excuse or limitation of I don't have it is a lie because you do. You have access to it, you just have to rent it. And if you could get a budget for that, maybe early on your budget's just for gear, everyone works for free. Down the road, people start getting paid and it ends up working out. So I always tell people that, and then it clicks in their head, because I know y'all just got that aha moment. You're like, you know what? Yeah, I do have a grip van. I'm just gonna call Peter. I'm gonna hire a grip or someone to do this. It's not only you. You don't have to do it all. So keep that in mind. So I'm going to give a little tension relief here. I'm just looping it through something so it doesn't yank on the port. And now we see what we have on the screen there. I'll sync it. I'm not running time code to everything, which, do y'all know what time code does?
So you can sync.
So you could sync multiple cameras, because if he kept cutting constantly instead of rolling the whole time, how are you going to sync all that footage to make it match? Let's say you covered a conference, or you're doing 3 cameras for a crash scene and you want it to sync up perfectly. You use time code, which it tells everything. This is the time to the frame. And you sync everything up when you go to edit. Can someone shoot a shot bag onto that for me? right there. And when we do a C-stand, we always put the weight on the biggest leg. And one thing you'll notice, you see how my brain is? It's like, ooh, squirrel. These are smaller. The advantage is, do you notice it touching the ground? No. Some people will get these big sandbags. You may even have them in your studio. I may call Mark out on that. And they touch the ground. Well, let me tell you something. Do you think there's more weight on the stand if I do this with 1 foot on, 1 foot off, or this? Obviously, right? I had an argument with a photographer. We call them momtographers. It was a mom that was a photographer, and she tried telling me that I don't know what I'm talking about. But if it's touching the ground, it's obviously not putting all the weight on the stand. It's losing some of the weight on the ground. So they have to be off the ground to really be doing their job. Just a little tip that people, easy to make a mistake on it. So we're going to do some lights. Let's just get to the point. Goodness gracious. All right. So today, I think I'm going to use a rolling stand. What kind of stand is this? Combo or baby? Baby, because it's a baby pin. We're only referring to this part. Now there's some preemie stands, which is like a premature, but they're like this tiny. That's referring to the size of it. But this is a triple riser. It has 3 risers. 1, 2, 3, and it can get tall. A lot of times you bring it up and then you let it drop down just a little. Bring it up, let it drop down just a little. Bring it up, let it drop down just a little. Look how high it goes. Now this is not as stable as a combo, because combo a lot of times will have thicker shafts all the way up. But if you're doing something small, it's fine, and you need to be very strategic about how you set these up and to be safe. When you get too high, you'll start to get flex, and you'll see stuff leaning. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. The reason I want to do a rolling stand is we will have the light here, and we're going to roll it in close, and then we're going to back it off and make it further, and we'll have 2 points. We'll have, let's say, 3 feet, and then maybe 5 feet or something to that effect. And we'll see the difference the light makes when it comes closer, further, and how it works on shadows of the face. And we'll see all that on the screen as we work together. If I don't get a volunteer for the full time, we'll just rotate until someone says they don't want to do it, and then we'll all go home. So it's forced participation today. That's my rule. I'm sorry. So this guy here is going to need a shot bag. So we get a shot bag, please. You notice how quickly bags go? They go really quick. You want to lock that in for me? So you can use your foot. Just go whoop. There you go. And then lock that one in. Awesome. One thing about doing something with stands, you got to pay attention to the legs, okay? So he's been very helpful to me. What I want you to do is I want you to stand like this with your legs open, okay? All right? I'm going to push you. What did you do? You put your foot forward. Why did you do that?
Because I was not stable.
Okay, so now come back. Put 1 foot forward. And now he's more stable. Same thing with the stand. If you go into the part in between, it's going to fall over easily. If you go here, it stays. So never put a load between a gap. Always put a load over a leg. So if you put a light and it's hanging off here, that's good. If it hangs here, it's going to fall down. Same thing. You're more stable like this than you are like this. You're ready to fall over. It's that simple. So think about that when you're setting stuff up, and be safe and don't fall for it. The next thing before we get going, this is like call out 101 all over the interwebs, and you have to know your stuff. This is a C-stand. Set up, going to set it up, get it going. Now, when we attach an arm to it, a gobo arm or a grip arm, we have one here. Most important thing to remember. There you go. You could throw a bag on it. Let's go. Get it done. Most important thing biggest leg. Yep. Biggest thing to remember. And you could put it on these as well. You could load these down and stuff, but remember our load's going to be on the tall leg most of the time. But when it comes to this, who knows the saying, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey? Everyone, a lot of people, right? So something to consider is, if I was going to put a light on this, would I put the light on this side or this side? If I was going to hang weight off of it, which side would I go on?
Right side.
This side or this side? Point.
Right.
This one?
Oh, yeah, because if the light, the weight...
Van side or wall side? Van side or wall side? Wall, van, which side?
Van.
You say van? Wall?
Wall.
Wall? Okay, you're staring at the knuckle, okay? Okay, look at which way I loosen this. Lefty loosey. So if I put the load here, okay, it's going to loosen itself. So it won't immediately do that, but if you have the load on it and it starts creeping, it's going to loosen itself. Versus, go to the other side, and as it goes down, it will tighten itself up because that's what it does. So always have the load on the right side when you're facing it. Now, if you're switching sides, it's on the left. So always when you're facing the knuckle, the hardware, you want it on the right-hand side. Now, if we did a light this way, I would turn this because it's over the big leg, tighten it down, and then it's good. If I went here, instantly ready to go down. Just that much. And it's easy to lose track of what you're doing. It starts to go, goes. Pressing down. Come here and try it. See if I'm fibbing. You see that? Like how it immediately just goes?
Yeah.
Like no effort, and then it's gone. Just that little bit. So something to consider when it comes to safety. So technically the grip, key grip on set is in charge of safety because they do the most unsafe things with rigging and stuff. So they're kind of in charge of safety and making things happen. So I just wanted to inform you all of that. So what we're going to do with this guy is I'm going to bring it down so we don't lose an eyeball. Okay. And then if I could have someone give me an ultra bounce floppy. It's one that has white on the inside. So it's similar to that, except it has a white on the inside. There should be two of them in there. You'll see has a little bit of white. No. There you go. Sweet. All right, let's bring it in over here. All right. So I want the floppy side to hang this way, so turn it around. Yep. And then I want you to screw that in right there.
This one right there?
Right there. Yep. Okay, make it line up.
No, not yet.
You're going the wrong way. The other way. There you go. Okay, now tighten it. Awesome. Get it nice and tight. Perfect. Okay, so straighten this out a little. Okay, so the reason I did it this way is I could have just got a knuckle and put it up here, but I wouldn't be able to get really low. Doesn't give me the control to go this low to the ground. I can get height by just lifting this up. And you don't lose an eyeball right there. This was lower, you could put a tennis ball on it and stuff like that. So what are we gonna use this for? This is gonna be our fill light. We're gonna key from here. This is our fill. So we could fill with a bounce, we could film with a neg, and we could just have nothing and it could be ambient. So you can set that down right over there for now. And this gives us fill. I like to bounce for a fill light rather than use an actual physical light, because a physical light's another unit you have to set up, and then you're fighting lights and it's just not as natural. This light here, the key light, will come here, bounce off this and hit the person, or we could go with negative. So it's all whatever we choose. So we're gonna give a light a try next. So let's set up a light. So it's getting darker out. We may be able to get away with a 600. Let's do a 600C. All right, whoever wants to grab this by the handles, I'll let you get the ballast and we'll set the light up together and just walk it over here. And set the crate down gently. You hold on to that right there. I'm terrible with names, by the way, so don't get mad at me if I don't remember names. I'll just say you, her, him, them, they, whatever. And then we're gonna take this. This is our ballast for our light. And then we've gotta bring the light out. So the light itself is right there. So you pull up this end first. Yep. perfect. Okay, so what's really cool about this is this has a junior pin. So if we went into a combo, and it's hollowed out, so it has a baby as well. So we have both options. So it could go on a baby stand or into a combo, depending on how you're set up. This is a protector to protect the front. You got to treat the front of this like a sensor of a camera, and that could just get set over there out of the way. All right, so we have the head, we have the ballast. The ballast controls the head. Some units will have everything in one. This is a full color light, RGB WW, and we're going to attach some modifiers once we get it powered up. How are we powering it again? From that. Yep. So those are going to become more common on set because battery technology is getting amazing, and we'll have options to do different things. So so it goes up top, and it's has a certain pattern that it has to go in. So look at how it is. There's a little red dot that goes forward here. So see that? Yep. So then we can also turn this a little here so we don't hit. There we go. And then it clicks. You just push it down. Yep. And then this one goes in here. All right. Same with Aputure lights, with any lights, with anything. You could rent these things. They're really common. I use them because they get recommended. You've probably seen them on YouTube or mentioned or seen somewhere. So we have the bare light. So I'm going to push everyone out of the way for a moment. Watch your step, guys. I'm going to move this guy out of the way. Our big grip cart, because I'm tired of it being in the way. It's done. Who knows what a stinger is? Awesome. Stinger is an extension cord. What's another name for sandbags or shop bags? They call it dirt because you used to fill it with dirt. So someone says, grab me some dirt. Well, you're good to go. So if I could get one stinger out of the cart, it's on the bottom right-hand side. Yeah, just something to be in there, like the battery. A lot of fires happen now because of lithium batteries in houses. People get a cheap little scooter from Temu, and it torches their whole house. So you got to be careful with stuff like that. So nothing's really kept in the van that's electronic. Also for the safety of it, so it doesn't get broken into. If you come and steal a stand out of my truck and run with it, I'll chase you down and hire you. Like, if you really want to run with the stand, come on, I'll pay you for this. Like, I mean, if you're that motivated. Okay, so we're going to turn on the light. Here we go. So there we go. We're at, what intensity do you think we're at right now? 30? 10, 2. Everyone's wrong. We're at 1%. You were close. You still went over on the Price is Right. You still went over on the Price is Right. You still went over on the Price is Right. Okay. So this is bare, just open, just, shooting light. So now we look at the background, and we're just going to raise it up. All right. Obviously, we're not going to blast that much light on someone's face, right? Yeah. So it's out of focus. So if we manually focus.
There we go.
Right there. Okay. So we're not going to do that. That's obviously not what we're here for. So I need to look at settings. I have ND in there. There we go. Took the ND off. It's electronic ND. And then we're at f1.2. So now we can adjust it. Who wants to stand in for me? You'd like to stand in? Awesome. So we'll get you to stand in right here. And I need someone, I'm going to come over here, to make a mark for me. With tape, we could use blue tape, and you're going to make a T mark. So you're going to make a line between the legs and then across like that. So you could ask them to step out of the way. You will make a T mark. Yeah, full cavity search. Awesome. One tip I didn't give you, but I wanted you to slip up, is you want to bend a corner of it like this. So you could just bend it like that. So when it comes time to pack up, you could peel it up easier. Okay. Because you're going to struggle. So now you could do that piece and you're good to go. How's the exposure look on him? Is that good? Would you hire me if I delivered something like this?
It's a little overexposed.
And it's really 50-50 as well. You see it's split line and everything. How do we know it's overexposed? Well, we could see it. But also, let me go ahead, pull up false color to see where I want to be, and we're roasting on him over here. When you light someone's face, when you light someone's face, you look at where the light is. You don't look at the shadow part as much. You work on the shadow part, but the brightest part of the face is what you expose for, because if you don't, it's going to be overexposed, right? So always the brightest part. So right now we're going to add some ND, and then we're going to bring it to where we want it. And this is kind of where we would want to be in a little bit of that world. It doesn't look good, right? Not you. The color and everything, the way it's hitting you is not very pleasing. Is we are going to try a small softbox. So this is a small one. This is one that you're like, oh, it's going to be great. I can afford a tiny one. That's all I need. It's a softbox that's going to make it soft. So this one, the way it opens, well, hopefully it doesn't be mean, is you go like this, you go like this, like this, like this.
Each individual one?
Yep. So pop those out. All right, where's my tape marker person?
We got the egg crates on there still.
Yep, we got the grid.
I wasn't being manly enough, I guess.
Yep, all right, so if you could mark here, make a little, you could just do a blue tape mark, and then one on the other corners. So we're going to mark our close point, and then we're going to back off and mark our other points so we could be somewhat scientific with showing what the light is doing in each spot. So this one is reversed. It's lefty-tighty. It's very strange on how they do it. Okay.
This has the grids.
Yep, so we'll take the grid off, and we'll do grids later. Okay. We're just going to focus on what we have with the light. Here we go. All right, so this is sort of the world we'd probably be in if we did this, right? So we're looking at him. Obviously, exposure's not right. If we look at false color, it's cooking them. So we need to take down the intensity. Let me know when it's right, and I'll stop.
Look forward.
Okay, so what's going to determine if the light is soft? If you shoot a light flat on a surface, you can't tell if it's a soft light. What really defines a soft light? Does anyone know? Your
lines are.
Yeah, it's how lines react in your shadows. So if you have a really sharp shadow, it's usually going to be a harder source to create that sharp line, like where you could do, hand puppets, right? And if it's softer, it's going to kind of blur, and that's where it comes into play. So where can we see shadows on our subject?
Left side of his face.
Left side of his face. Where else?
His neck.
Neck. Okay. Shoulder. So pay attention to those, and that'll help you see what the light is doing. A little trick too is you could come out, look at your hand, and look at shadows you create on your hand. Skin, same as skin on someone's face. So if you're just testing, you can see. So right now, we have this guy in play, and it's creating a bounce. Now, if I turn it, look at his shadow side of his face. Here we go. We're probably getting a little bit of spill coming in over here. Okay, so we're going to put up a flag. Let me get someone to grab a shot bag, and we'll grab a C-stand with an arm. What I noticed is right here, look at this. We're getting light coming in from over here. So we've got to block that light out, or we're not going to have a good test. Right, so we got a shot bag. Great, if we could set that down here. You set it right there. And we're going to try to eliminate that light.
Do I mark that too? Or?
No, you won't. Yep, and then arm. Perfect. Bring that on over. So we'll have it blocking here mostly for this one. So let's open that up. So the way I like to do them is let gravity do the work, and then you spin it, and then you lock it off like this. And then we'll put the arm on, please. Great, great. It's okay. Right there. Loosen that up and then tighten it on there. This one right here. Yep. And what we're doing is we're trying to eliminate this. I don't like that. If I cut this light off, there shouldn't be any light on him. And I don't like that. So you're controlling the space. We controlled the light earlier here. We're controlling it here. So let's say we're in a crappy conference room and they have can lights that are cooking. We could do this method. Got it? There you go. You got it? Awesome. And then we're going to do this here. And then if I could get that floppy, please. It's right here. Great. All right, set it right there. We're going to set it like this, so someone could do the knob for me. Perfect. Tighten it up. Awesome. Great job. So now we have that. So pay attention to him. And where's that light coming from? Did we block it? No. Almost. Oh, getting there. All right. Great. Can I get another gobo arm, please? Grip arm, gobo arm.
You know how I can tell that you mean business?
Because I have a headband on. Yep, that's it. Bring it on over. All right. Stick it in the hole.
Any particular direction? Or just
Whatever way you want it. There you go. So normally they'd have pieces of like 2x4 or something like that, and that puts weight on it to prevent it from falling off. So you could slide this end off, and what it does is it puts a little weight on it so it doesn't flop in the wind. So I could do it like this, and then put that knuckle on there, please. Yep. Loosen it a little more to get it on there. Nope, the other side, the big knob.
no, sorry.
Yep. And tighten it. Cool. So that puts it on there, prevents the wind from catching it. Sometimes you could even get it close to the stand and clamp it on. We don't have too much to deal with. It was just a little bit of a breeze. We eliminated that. See the van starting to get used more and more. All these stands, all these bags, all these elements, it starts adding up, and it's little things. They'll say, we need to do this. I need you to do this. I need you to cut this. I need you to reduce this. And you have to be able to do that, and that's where this stuff comes in handy, because y'all were probably thinking, all it takes is just a light and a stand and a camera and I'm good to go. Yes and no. It can work, but the more you could shape, the better the image. Now let's look at our subject, and we strike the light, striking.
He's like, damn it.
All right, so you see how dark that shadow side is now?
Absolutely.
It is very dark. I mean, when we run false color, it's very dark. So we're getting a little bit of different readout through the SDI. That's why knowing your monitors and knowing your cameras is really important, because this is giving us a slightly different reading, outputting, and it could be many things. But anyways, so it's really dark. So let's brighten that other side up again, right? So spin this around. Did it make a difference?
Yes.
Huge difference, huh? And that's just bouncing light. That's your fill. Now, my client said that's still too dark. What are we going to do to fix that?
Spin that one around too.
Nope.
Maybe.
Inverse square law. Bring it in closer. Exactly. So we're just going to walk it in. Look at the difference that made. So big difference. You could still see there is a little bit of shape, but your corporate client will say, that looks beautiful. That's what I want. Right? That may work. So that's, you may not like it, but you know what? You're not in charge. You're not the one paying the bills. Make them happy. Make them happy. It's so important to make your client happy, and get called back out, whether it's a director, whether it's a producer, whether it's an agency or a studio or whoever, right? So now we see how that looks. Okay, well, you know what? I think it'll look a lot better if I move the light back. What do we got? Does that look like 2 feet? 2 feet. Let's call it 2 feet. All right, let's mark that, please. So look at the shadows, look at the light, and really analyze how things are looking now. We're going to increase the intensity. So remember how it looked before. So let me know when he turns light gray in the brightest part of his face. We there yet?
You got some green on the edge.
Yeah. Oh, we're still not there yet because we got to go to pink first. Now this is all subjective. Let me tell you, you could have him looking darker. That's your choice. So this may be where you want to be. It could be one of those things. You're filming a short or a movie, it's a darker scene. They don't need to be fully lit like they're in a high bright hospital if it's a moody scene with candlelight, right? Everything's different. So that's not necessarily right or wrong. Remember I said there's no rules. There's just standards and there's certain expectations. And a lot of times when we're filming shadow side, right? So what we're going to do is now we're going to turn our subject over this way and imagine he's interviewing you. Can you look at him? There we go. That's what we would normally be looking at when we're doing an interview or if we're filming something. So now you can really see what it does to the side of his face. And you have that shape and that shadow. That's a little too aggressive for some people. So what we'll do is we'll walk this back. And that's what you do. The DP will be like, hey, move it in, move it out, do this. Or you as the DP will say, bring it in. I want it darker. I want it lighter. I want this to happen. So thank you so much. We're going to get another test subject in. You did awesome. Who wants to volunteer? You want to get in? Awesome. Perfect. So height adjustments. This happens often. No, this happens a lot. So what can we do to fix height adjustments on a subject?
You could your tripod or Apple boxes.
Apple boxes are also an option. So can I get a full apple off the van, please? It's going to be one of the gray ones. All right, let's give her a full apple. Normally we'd give them 2 because talent could be on set, but I think y'all could handle a single. Because just footing wise and stuff, and a lot of times you would tape them together, you'd stabilize them, different things. There we go. Awesome. So now we're going to make a just slightly. Awesome. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to come in closer because I want us to see what's going on with the face. So I'm leveling. There we go. See how level we are. We're pretty close. See, now we got to go up a little. So, so if you're leveling a tripod and you're like a DP and you're on a bigger set, who's usually going to help you level that tripod? It's going to be your AC, your assistant camera. I'm going to help you level that out. All right, so here we go. Now, she has lighter hair than the gentleman before, so we have that to look at and pay attention to. We'll consider a hair light later. Let's go through and figure out which is our favorite diffusion. So we already did the others. So we're going to show what it looks like dark real quick. A little bit darker. Everyone's different when it comes to their shape, their look. There's no textbook rule. Okay, so let's go ahead and swap out diffusion. So saving. Cool. All right. If you could grab the thicker diffusion out of one of those little black baggies.
It's the sticky part, yeah?
Yeah, and do it like this. So inside edge. Cool. This bounce up earlier. Come over here real quick and look at the other side of it and look at all the ugly light coming in from the parking lot. So that would be spilling into our scene if we didn't have that up. So we were blocking the sun earlier and now we're blocking those ugly lights. We know that we want a little bit of bounce, so we're gonna land on bounce. I know some people like it moody, but it's just too much for this. So I like that. So now we're going to walk it in. Go ahead and walk it in for me if you can. Be very careful and gentle and make it land on the, you can use your foot. Great, and then walk it into the other marks. Perfect. And let's lock that in. If a light is too green or too pink, and you adjust it. So if we went one way, is that too green or too pink? Okay, how about we go the other way? Is that too green or too pink?
Too green.
Okay, what does that matter? Because when you're matching lights, these lights are boo-boo, and they're gonna shift that weird color. And that's where when you start mixing really nasty colors, you ever go into and look at fluorescent lights and they're very wacky in the colors, a lot of times you're getting those shifts. So with this being a full RGB WW, we could shift those colors and make those adjustments to make it more realistic. If I wanted to match these ugly lights, but still put light on talent, I could have that ability. So now we're looking at her. She looks really swell. She's so happy to be here. I can tell. Do we like the way the light is hitting, or is it too much output?
It's a little
Looks a little harsh.
Okay, cool. Let's bring it down. Okay, let's see what that looks.
I like that.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
See? So the brightest part of her face is hitting the right zones. When you have monitors, keep them at a low backlight, because if you do it too bright, it won't show you true realistic look. So if I go over here and I go to display and I take it all the way up, that's going to look really weird. So I always keep it really low, 20%, 18%, really low amount, and that gives you a realistic reading. Now when it's super bright outside, you can make that adjustment, but this feels good. She looks great. What's also really cool is her glasses aren't doing reflections right now. That's a huge plus. Yes, sir.
What would your brightness be, recommended brightness be if you were in daylight?
In daylight, you still want to hit the same on the face.
Okay.
So it's all about skin tones. If you have, this gentleman here has a little bit darker skin tones than she does. She has very bright skin, right? So you find that sweet spot that looks good on the person. Sometimes it's subjective. You guys waited for it to look right, and they said, oh yeah, that's good, right?
It's a psychological.
Trust your eye. Trust your eye sometimes. There's no rules.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that you have to kind of be judgmental on. Now, do we like this closer or further away, the light? What do we decide on?
I think I like it closer.
Closer, okay. So when it's closer, is it bigger in proportion to the person or smaller? It's bigger. The light itself, it becomes bigger the closer it is. It's a bigger source. A lot of times, the bigger the source, the softer the source, because a lot of times if it's big, it's wrapping. So that's a little trick right there. Now, do you always want soft light? You don't always have to do soft light, but we're trying to replicate soft light, and we're trying to keep the bugs off of it. That's another thing. When you're shooting outdoors, you got to be careful, because bugs could work their way in. They could land on the glass and shatter the glass. So that's something to think about. Yeah. So yeah, they're flying around now. They found it. So we just did that. So let's try a different one. We've landed where we're at. Can I get you to look over here at me? Great. So if we were doing an interview, it would be looking like this, chatting, having a conversation. You can see the shadow side. Now, what would be nice is to have a hair light. And we'll introduce a hair light in a little bit. And what the hair light will do is it will bring out right here. See how dark that is? And if we want her to pop a little bit more, adding a little bit of a hair light will help. So even if I get my cell phone and add a little, it can add a little bit of an edge, and that can help out. And we'll do that with probably something else. What do we lose?
We could use that as a hair light. We just turn it basically as a reflective.
It'd be maybe too soft, but yes, you could. So there is a thing called cove lighting, and you're wrapping a big source, so it's like real big and soft. So think of just like a big sunroom that you'd go into, a patio sunroom that had shears everywhere. It wraps and it hugs you. Think about, it's funny, I always say light it like hugs you. And when I do a hair light, I want to do it where it hugs them and you see it on the shoulders, and it's just, gives that effect. And it's all subjective. There are no rules. There are no rules. So let's take it down even lower. Someone may like that better. That may be what they want. And then they're going to say they want that. It's all subjective. So don't get mad when someone has a different style than you. It's just like, okay, cool, that's not my look.
Yeah,
He's a photographer, but
Yeah.
then he does interviews, and
Yeah.
it's that same thing. It's like you've got to set the mood
Yeah.
and the vibe. So what are you filming? You know, because right now, look around at each other and look at the way the light's hitting different. It's really flat on him. He has some great shape because we have a shadow side. Everyone is in a different spot, and it's just pockets. Wherever you land, so you don't trip on set. Wherever you land, it could create different light and do different things. And that's why we're talking about the size of the light, because when it's a really small light, you could really leave it quickly. When it becomes bigger, there's room to move around and you have flexibility. So a lot of times people say light spaces, not faces. So if you light a space big, then when you go in for the tights, you could tighten it up and do a little bit of fine tuning. But overall, the whole space is already lit. So big productions like to light the space first, then they go in for the tights, and you could kind of fine tune the tights when you come in for coverage. So that's something to think about. You did great. Thank you so much. Jump down. Next victim. Awesome. Do you want the apple box? No. Sweet. Okay, so we're going to switch it up again. So I'm going to save. Well, let's look at him. His hair is out there a lot more than our last subject. Different color. His skin tone. She didn't have a beard. He does have a beard. You know, so we're looking at the way the light hits and how it's different. So maybe for him, maybe we do go a little moody. Does that look better? And that has a certain look. It's whatever you're talking about. So it's something to consider, and like we can walk it back and still have a little bit of a bounce. So let's go ahead and save this light, and we're going to go big. All right. So let's switch to the giant 150 dome. So if someone could take that one, actually, you know what? Before we get rid of it, I want to show you guys the grid, because I'd rather not do the grid on the... So y'all saw how it looked on him before. Show you what a grid can do. Grid is lighting control. So if we're in a space and we wanted to control the light overall and show it off in a way that we didn't want the light to spill everywhere, that's when you put a grid up. So you just Velcro in. Yep. So it's controlling, it's like putting blinders on. It's just kind of guiding the light in a tunnel and shooting it out. So it's like a flashlight when you change it from spot to flood, and you kind of change it up like that.
Oh my God, it's looking great.
That's normal. And you may be like, man, it's really dark, I can't see. On set, it's even worse, because they'll have all the lights off and you won't have anywhere. So that's why a lot of times gaffers, grips will have flashlights. There we go. There you go. Ta-da. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. All right. Now what is the light doing? One thing we noticed right off the bat, what did we lose? Output. It's a lot darker because the grid eats up some of your light. Okay. So it's become a lot darker in the background because we're controlling the light and its spill. So one thing that we are getting that's really nice, he has darker eyes. I have blue eyes, he has darker eyes. What's making his eyes pop is the catch light. The light's low enough where it's creating that nice bright pop of light in his eyes, so you can see that he actually has some life to him. If you darken it completely, then it just becomes void of light and it's really dark. So that's good right there. So now we're going to move it back and show what it looks like with the grid slightly back. There we go. Sweet. Awesome. It's darker, obviously, because it went further back. So you see what we have going on here. So the further away you are, obviously you're losing light, and the grid eats away light. So the more you diffuse, the more stuff you add, the worse it's becoming, and it starts cutting down on what you're getting. So you got to consider that. We're at 88%, this is 100%, and it's just there. But notice it's further away. Look how bad those shadows are on his face. Neck, it looks really dark, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk it in. I'm going to set it to the exposure we had earlier, and I'm going to walk it in and just look at the big screen and see how it looks and how it changes as we get closer. And then walk this guy in. See the differences? And here's what's crazy. This is going to blow your mind. It sounds nuts, but it's called feathering the light, and just moving the light at a slightly different angle. Look what it does. See how it reacts differently in what we're doing? It's a game of inches. It's a game of inches. If you could look over here for me. Thank you. See what it does? So it's not a precise science. You can't go and watch a video and be like, it was 2 inches this way, we measured. It's not going to work. Because everyone's face is different, everyone's look is different, and we're having a whole different approach. So now with the grid, we're noticing we're getting less bounce happening. So if I wanted to wrap it a little bit more, bring it in. And then I would pan it here. Look at that. Look at his neck. See that? That looks like a cool portrait right there, doesn't it?
It looks like a portrait from the 80s.
I mean, it's awesome. And then you pan it away, and that's a mistake you can make. It doesn't have to be pitch black somewhere. You could darken that in post if you want. I like this. Shows off his jawline. His hair looks great. Has a good look. His eyes are popping. Now, it is flat, so we could pull it back a little. All right.
Shadow basically there at the side.
Yeah. So that's where you have to think, and then you're like, okay, well, it looks like that, so maybe I'll bring this light over here a little bit more. Get a little more of that, and you just start manipulating it. So but you see how quickly you could ruin it?
Yeah.
So now how do I get back to where I was? Go ahead and get me back to where I was, please. You two, you're both paying attention. I want it back to where we said it looked really good. Oh, you're cheating. You got those.
Peter, receiver battery is running low.
So you could easily get lost in what you're doing and mess something up. You had it good, and then all of a sudden you try to get too creative, you screw it up, and then you can't get back where you were. So try to remember what you did, where you had it, and be very aware of what you're doing. Mark it if you can. Think about distances, looks, and things like that. So now I'm going to save it, and then I'm going to pull this grid off, and we're going to see how it looks with the grid off. Striking. You got a lot more light, right? Okay, so let's take down that intensity.
Put the grid back on.
It just, whatever you want, it's a choice, right? All right, so we saw the difference between the small one and the other one. We're gonna go with one more. We're gonna start running out of time. So I'm gonna switch, so we're gonna drop this, and then let's go ahead and awesome. If I could get you to twist to me a little bit. Yep. You're going to look a little bit more this way. Square up to me this way. There you go. See that shape we're getting? Maybe a little bit this way. So there you go. Perfect. So you're gonna look off camera here this whole time. So now look at the shadow side of his face. You see we got some shape because we brought the light around a little more. And we need to go up on intensity slightly. Okay. Okay, and then we're going to feather it a little. Okay, and what we're going to do is now we'll introduce this guy, dark side. It's really dark, huh? All right, so we got to find that happy medium. All right, so you see the shape now? What are we getting? What kind of lighting technique is this? See the little triangle below his eye? Rembrandt. Yep. So it's a Rembrandt lighting, just getting that shape. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just in this world, this shape, light coming in at an angle, looking the way it is, getting a little shape here. But if you look closely, we still have information there. It's not black. So it's not completely blacked out. So that's something to really consider when looking at it and you're lighting it. So this looks pretty nice, has some shape. We're having a conversation, we're shooting from the shadow side. It may be too much for some, so like we've done before, we could just edge it in a little bit more. And then we have the option of being here or coming here. You know, depending on where we want it, we could make it hit like this, hit like this. There are options. Some people like it really dark, some people don't. It's all a preference thing. So last thing we can introduce is a tube to give us a little bit of a hair light. Normally I'd be using a color meter and everything to check everything, make everything perfect, but ain't nobody got time for that. Let's look at what this will do. How does that look compared to that?
Yeah, I like it.
Is that too much or not? You want to Hollywood that in for me?
Oh, yeah, I was coming to ask, how would you mount that without Hollywood?
You could Hollywood it for a moment. Okay. Okay, that's way too intense. All right, let me pull that down. So you see it on the shoulders?
Yep.
So it's still a little bright. We'd fine tune it to where we want it to look just the right way so it's not too crazy over here. But there's a few methods. And turn it like this, right here.
Oh, like turn instead of that?
No, yeah, just flat.
Okay.
What's that?
Chiaroscuro.
Perfect. That looks good. That looks good. So the way we'd mount that is we'd boom it out with a gobo arm, clamp to it with the C-stand, and kind of go that route. So we have that option. So now we see how this looks. One last thing we want to do with it is if I could get a C-stand, a gobo arm, and a shot bag, and then if I could get someone else to put my grid on, my big light, and we'll have the final look. You want to do that? Great. I'm just going to leave the light on so we could actually see what we're doing. You could put that grid on. It's okay. That won't hurt anything. Cool. All right, what happened? How does it look? That's it. I think it looks good. We're done. We're going to collect our money. So we added a grid. What did we like about the grid earlier? We liked the way it looked, right? The grid helped control, it gave us kind of, there we go. Awesome. Can I get that elevated just out of frame, please? And you're going to go with the bottom knobs. Yep, that one. And go ahead and lift it up and be careful not to smack talent.
It's cool. Try not to.
Elevate it. We're still in frame. Higher, 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 higher. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Just out of frame. Yep. Go ahead and lock it. Thank you. Okay, so we have a choice. We could land it center. We could land it on this side. Or we could land it on this side. I kind of lean towards this side here. We're at 100%. It's too much. Let's take a look at what it looks like. Just the hair light. That's what we have. That's a hair light, nothing more. So let's take it down where it looks good. I like the way that looks. Let's fire back up the key. The key is too low. We're going to bring the key up. There we go. And that's what we have. We're at 100%.
That's incredible.
So now what do we need? I want to fill in that shadow side. What are we going to do? Can someone bring that in? Fill it in for me. Shadow side. Be very careful with talent. Do not kill talent.
I mean, it's
You'll be.
Is it really talent?
No,
There you go. Yep. Look at that. Already. Looks good. Okay, let's kill that hair light. Ooh, see the difference it makes? Just look at the shoulders. Look at the hair. Look at the shoulders. Let's maybe bring it in a little closer so it hits the shoulder a little more. There we go. So, yeah, we could walk it in slightly. So one thing you got to be very careful of when you're doing a tube like this is you could risk just creating a pocket of light that, let's swing this out just slightly. That they could end up being out of. So if you create too small of a lit area, they could slightly step out of it and it totally ruins everything. So step forward, please. Okay, see how bad that looks? Step back 2 steps. See how that looks? And let's go back on the mark. Yeah, you're good, you're good. So now you see how all that is playing in the space and what it's doing. So that is manipulating the light and controlling the light. Now guess what? You could also put a grid on that hair light. Control it even more. Why would we want to control it? Well, look at the background. You see how dark it is here and how bright it is there? That's this light spilling on it. So if we wanted to control the light, we'd have to separate it from the background more, maybe bring the light upward more, making it point down more, and do different things to manipulate it, to control it. But this looks good. Do you remember where we were at when we first started and how it looked? It looked very flat, very bland, it didn't have shape. We showed that the softness is working. And where can we see that softness? Look at his nose. Look at the shadows we're getting on the neck and everything. It looks really good. And that's a little cheat code to just see for yourself how things are looking. Do you have to do it this way? No, it's all up to you. But now you see how many elements we have. 1, 2, 3 C-stands, light stand, another stand there. Then I have one for BTS. We have this for the monitor. We have our tripod. You start adding these elements and things start adding up quickly.